This is a reading of Korean war hero Sergeant Reckless the War Horse by Melissa Higgins, and it's illustrated by Ivalro Iglesias. Battle after battle, U.S. Marine Lieutenant Eric Peterson watched his soldiers trudge through the rice paddies and up steep hills. It was 1952. Fighting in the Korean War was fierce. Bullets whizzed over soldiers' heads as they hauled heavy ammo to roaring, recoilless rifles. The soldiers' work was slow and hard. Lieutenant Peterson had a crazy idea. What his platoon needed was a pack horse, brave pack horse with the heart of a soldier. Peterson visited a racetrack in Seoul, South Korea, in October 1952. Inside the stable, a small reddish-brown filly caught his eye. 4-year-old Flame was healthy and confident. She seemed to trust Peterson. She didn't shy away from him. With $250, the sale was completed. Flame readily climbed into the trailer behind Peterson's Jeep. It was just before dark when Peterson and Flame got to camp. The Marines quickly took to the little red horse. They renamed her Reckless after their recoilless guns. The Marines had no horse feed when Reckless arrived, so they took her to the mess tent. Her first meal at camp was a loaf of bread and dry oatmeal. The following day, Reckless gulped down scrambled eggs and coffee. Eventually, the Marines bought Reckless horse feed, but she always ate whatever the Marines offered her, including apples, carrots, and chocolate bars. Before going into battle, Reckless completed basic training. Her boot camp, or hoof camp, sergeant taught Reckless to step over wire. She learned to duck the enemy fire by lying down or kneeling. Brave Reckless was willing to do anything she was asked. She just needed to look things over and trust who was giving her directions. Finally, Reckless was ready to be tested under fire. Would the loud noise and confusion of battle send her running away like any normal horse? As a soldier led Reckless toward the firing site, the recoilless rifle blasted. The shot roared across the hills. Reckless leapt high into the air. All 4 of her hooves left the ground. Reckless landed, shaking with fear. Her handler spoke calmly to her. With each gun blast, Reckless shook less and less. She did not bolt. She was a true Marine. In the following 6 months, Reckless proved herself in many battles. Following the sound of the recoilless gun, she often delivered ammo to the gun crew by herself. The gunners rewarded her with a piece of hard candy from their sea rations. In the early morning of March 26, 1953, Reckless nervously paced. In the distance, enemy gunfire pierced the darkness. Reckless and her unit would be joining a dangerous battle for a group of hills called the Nevada Complex. Reckless' handler tried to calm her as he loaded rounds of heavy ammo onto her harness. Her handler led her up the steep and twisting trail to the first gun site. Gunfire blasted all around them, but Reckless delivered the ammo. Reckless made it to the site without bolting. Then, hour after hour, load after load, Reckless took to the trails alongside her fellow Marines. On one trip, an explosion blasted nearby. A piece of shrapnel cut Reckless above her eye. A short time later, a piece of shrapnel cut her side. But she kept going, often heading out on her own. She made 2 trips to every Marine station. Reckless made 51 trips to different gun positions. She traveled more than 35 battle-torn miles. She carried 386 rounds of ammo. Finally, after 72 hours, the battle drew to a close. By supplying the ammo that helped end the battle, Reckless saved lives. She had worked as hard as any Marine. She earned the love and respect of the entire 1st Marine Division. The fighting in the Korean War stopped in July 1953. No longer needed to haul ammo shells, Reckless traveled with her platoon. She helped string communication wire. At night, she visited Marines in their tents, especially when it was cold outside. In addition to eating whatever the handouts the men shared, she also drank Coca-Cola. She liked to drink out of a glass. In honor of her bravery and service, Reckless was promoted to sergeant in 1954. She was later promoted to the rank of staff sergeant. Reckless was a true part of the team. When the platoon shipped out of Korea, the Marines refused to leave their four-legged sergeant behind. Sergeant Reckless arrived in San Francisco, California on November 10, 1954. Old friends and reporters crowded around her. She had become famous. Reckless lived at the Marine base in Camp Pendleton near San Diego, California. She made guest appearances and joined her 5th Marines on 100-mile marches. Besides her two promotions, Reckless received many military decorations. These included 2 Purple Hearts, a Presidential Unit Citation with Star, Good Conduct Medal, United Nations Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Korean Service Medal, Navy Unit why can't I say that word? Commendation. Oh my gosh, Miss Mullen. Sorry about that. And Republic of Korea Presidential Unit Citation. I can't rewind this video, so I'm just going to keep going. Reckless retired from her military service at Camp Pendleton. Over the years, she gave birth to 4 foals. As she aged, Reckless developed arthritis in her back. In 1968, she suffered from a fall in her pasture. While in surgery for her injury, she quietly passed away. 60 years after the Korean War, Reckless's bravery and loyalty were not forgotten. On July 26, 2013, a life-size statue of Reckless was unveiled at the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Quantico, Virginia. Marines came from all over the country to honor the little red horse with the big heart. And that is the end of the story. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little different from the other Sergeant Reckless book, but it's also very much the same story. It's kind of cool. All right.